an official welcome to the Inside Wag Nutrition Podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Chris, you want to kick it off, man?
So Pam is one of the newer coaches on the WAG roster. And as you know, we've been going through a series of interviewing our coaches on the WAG staff to give them a chance to shine and get to know their personality a little more, what their expertise was, and what their journey was before finding WAG, becoming a client, and then making the decision to become a coach and using that experience and knowledge and everything that they obtained through that journey and process to help hundreds of people around the world. So welcome, Pam. We appreciate you being here. The first thing we'd like to find out generally is, where do you hail from and who do you live with? Who do you share your life with?
I live in a very small town, Mocksville, North Carolina. We have a huge population of about 5,000 people. And
Wow.
my husband,
Very big.
yeah, I live with my husband. I've been with him for, let me do some math, 30 years. I've been married 28 years.
Wow.
And we have all
Congrats.
four-legged, thank you. We have all four-legged babies. So we've got, let's see, we have Roxy, Jules, Carabeth. Then we have, they're small dogs. And then I have two bigger dogs that were foster failures, Patty, and my only male dog, Wesley, who's also better known as A-hole.
Typical Wesley.
Is there a story? There's got to be a story behind that.
Well, I used to foster dogs, and so I became known as the person who could deal with the most difficult dogs. I was Wesley's last chance because Wesley's a great dog. He's living his best life, but he's not a secure dog, so he likes to bite people. So he had gone through 4 fosters before me, and I was his last chance. And so, I just hung with him, and he doesn't bite me or my husband, but he will bite you if you come on our property.
Gotcha. Okay.
How big is he?
Oh, he's like 30, 40, about 35 pounds.
Okay.
So he's
all right. Little terror. Yeah.
He's a little terror. The Amazon drivers know it. They wait till he get him in the house before they get out. The last person he bit was my niece's husband. So
Ooh.
at least we kept it.
Does everybody have to sign a waiver when they step onto your property?
They know.
Okay.
We just know to put him up. But he really is a great dog. Other than that.
Yeah.
He just
get that beware of Wesley sign up on the front.
Beware of Wesley.
Yeah.
He's just very particular. He likes you, and that's about it.
He very much
Nothing
likes
wrong with
me.
that.
He's very attached to me. So
Yeah.
Sure.
He's like, you
But he
saved
really-
me, I will protect you.
he really is a great dog. Other than that, we live on 30 acres of land, and Wesley loves being outside. He loves chasing the buzzards and the squirrels and rolling in the grass. And like I said,
Awesome.
he came from the streets of Texas, and he's now living his best life.
30 acres. What a dream.
Wow.
30 acres. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, and speaking of which, I know in previous conversations with you, Pam, I believe that your current home is your dream home. You've told us.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this
It's
is
very-
yeah. Can
Yeah.
you tell us more
It's
about
very-
that?
It's very interesting how things that you think about actually come true. So I lived in Statesville, North Carolina, which is about 20 miles from where I live now. And I remember going through Mocksville when I was in my 20s and thought, wow, this is just a really cool little quaint town. I could see myself living here one day. So, fast forward, I left Statesville for about 10 years, lived in Atlanta, Georgia, met my husband there, moved back to Statesville after that time, and we were looking for land. I've always wanted land. I've always wanted a black lab, and I said I would never get one until I had land that they could run. I still don't have a black lab, but anyway. And I've always wanted
You got the land.
I got the land. I always wanted land with a pond. And so I used to work in corporate America. I was on my way to a job site and stopped at a grocery store. Never go in a grocery store. I mean, not a grocery store, a convenience store to get gas. Never go in a convenience store, but for some reason went in that day. Saw some land on one of the realtor pamphlets, called, and it happened to be in Mocksville, happened to have a pond. And my husband and I ended up getting that. It had a small little
What?
house on it. Yeah, I know it's bizarre, so bizarre. It ended up having a small house, like 800 square feet, and we lived there and while we built a house on the upper part of the property. 800 square feet, it's
Mm,
really small, but
Yeah.
it was worth it. So yeah, it's just really kind of funny because I don't know, 25 years later, I end up living in the town that I thought would be really cool when I was in my 20s, and with the land, the dream home, the whole 9 yards. So I'm not planning on leaving till
Yeah.
I die. They're gonna have
Wow.
don't blame you. That sounds like a great
pretty.
setup.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet. I mean, we're on WAG calls, and you'll constantly see me outside on my porches. I mean, it's my favorite place to be. Uh,
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, drinking a cup of coffee, go sit on the porch, listening to the
Oh,
nature. I mean, it's great. It's great.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
kindred spirits.
Yeah.
I also like how you said porches, plural.
Yes.
Like
Mm.
I have
Yeah.
I have a porch, but porches sounds very nice.
Yeah, we have a great back porch that overlooks the pond. And then we have a great front porch that overlooks some of the wooded area. Most of our property's wooded. And then we have some of the property is agriculture. So we lease that land. But
Oh,
I've been forced to the front porch of late because we've got a bunch of baby birds on the back porch. So
oh, okay. That's a
try
good
Oh.
not to
reason.
bother them when
Good
they're out
reason to
there.
go to the good reason to
Yeah.
go to the front porch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you got to keep Wesley away from him too. So he should probably stay off the back porch too.
Wesley is wherever I am. So if I'm on the front porch,
Gotcha.
he's on the front porch.
Cool. 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 So yeah, let's dig a little bit into your like nutrition journey and getting acquainted with WAG. How did you get into nutrition, and then how did you kind of find your way over to working against gravity in the first place?
Wow. Um, my background is corporate America, mainly manufacturing, and mainly in the paper industry. So, um, I pretty much stayed in inner packaging, which is all that trash you throw away when you buy electronics, furniture. I was with a company that made boxes for a while. But while I was with the Interpack division, back in 2011, one of my coworkers, who was a fireman, had started CrossFit because there's a competition for firemen every year, and he would go and just couldn't improve. And somebody said, "Oh, you need to try this CrossFit thing." And in 2011 in North Carolina, there weren't a lot of CrossFits.
Sure.
So he was
Yeah.
actually traveling about 30 minutes to get to the CrossFit box, and he did very well in his competition that year. And he ended up opening a CrossFit, which was about, I mean, I could literally walk there from the plant that I worked in. So he
Wow.
asked me to come. He didn't have any members, and he said, "I'm opening up this gym. Will just come and try it out for a week?" I, the only thing I had ever really done was cardio in my life. I come from the generation, the Jane Fonda generation. Don't even look at a weight because you'll get bulky. Eat like a bird to lose weight. I mean, that's the generation I come from.
Hmm.
So
Sure. Yeah.
I
Yep.
had, yeah, I picked up a couple dumbbells, but not very many. So we went to his free class. Me and another coworker went to his free class during lunch that day. And I'm not kidding. Had he not been a coworker of mine and I didn't want to look at him to say I quit, I probably wouldn't have continued because I was so sore. And, we didn't do anything but with a PVC pipe like the first 4 days. But the last day, we picked up a barbell and I deadlifted. And I was like, oh, I like this. I like this a lot. So I just kept going
Oh,
back.
Hmm.
And
sure.
back in 2011, the rave was paleo, and that's pretty much all the CrossFit boxes talked about was paleo. I gained
Yeah.
a lot of weight on paleo because I ate a lot of nuts on paleo. And so I started researching CrossFit and found these old um, trainings by Nicole Carroll on the Zone. And so literally it ended up even bought a year's subscription to the CrossFit Journal so that I could
Oh,
learn all about the
awesome.
Zone. So I
Yeah.
switched my nutrition to the Zone. And like a lot of CrossFitters who get in trouble in the beginning, I was training too much. I was trying to learn all the, gymnastics, weightlifting, all of that, and
Yeah.
really wasn't eating enough and kept getting injured. So
Hmm.
Stopped training for a while, but it sparked my interest in nutrition. That's what it did. The whole, watching those videos in the zone, I started reading every nutrition book I could get.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, a couple years later, I left corporate America and opened up a CrossFit box with a partner. And at that time, it was like
Really?
2000, yeah, it was like
Wow.
2013. And somehow, don't ask me how, but somehow or another, I found precision nutrition. And in 2013, precision nutrition wasn't around. Got my certification there because we had a lot of people who were looking to lose weight at the gym, looking for
Hmm.
nutrition. So got that certification. Went on to get my level two, which
Wow.
was a
Cool. Good
year's,
for you.
which was a year's commitment. And we owned that box for 5 years until we sold it. And
Cool.
so
What was the name? Can I
interest
ask the name?
CrossFit Cyclone.
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 Cyclone, CrossFit Cyclone.
Cool. Is
Yeah.
it
I like
still?
that.
I know you don't own it anymore, but is it still CrossFit Cyclone?
No, it's now CrossFit Fort Dobbs.
Okay.
One of
Gotcha.
the
Cool.
personal trainers that worked there, it's kind of a long story, but my husband and I took care of his folks. I helped take care of my dad.
Hmm.
And it was, it was just a really long, grueling, emotionally draining time. And my father-in-law passed, and then my dad passed. My dad had Parkinson's and some other diseases. It wasn't an easy death. Um, so I just didn't have anything left emotionally. And, running a gym, it very emotional. People are pouring themselves out to you all the time. And
Oh
you
yeah.
really do have to be careful about, your own mental well-being and your own mental health. And with everything else, with my in-laws and my dad, I really just didn't have anything left. And so I had a personal trainer who was working there at the gym who asked if she could buy it. And so my partner and I sold,
Wow.
um, which is also what led me to WAG. I knew about WAG back in 2013 because I had the same trainer as a D, and so I knew about WAG and I had followed it all of, not 2013. Yeah, 2013. I had followed it for about 5 years. And I had quit working out on this CrossFit box, quit working out, felt like a imposter, gained a lot of weight. I was going through menopause, gained a lot of weight and wasn't in a good place. And I thought, you know what? I need to come up with a goal. I need to have a goal so that I can get my life back in order. So I we still own the box at this time, but I actually went and found a gym that I could work out at. I didn't tell them who I was. I didn't tell them that I owned a CrossFit. I just wanted to
Hmm.
be treated like any other member there. And then I thought, well, let me see if I can, you know, let me have the goal of doing well in the Open in 2018. I'd never trained for the Open. I just did it. Wasn't, but I thought, let me just have a
Yeah.
goal and maybe that'll really get me, on a path. Um, Pulled some calculators off of a website, for macros and it wasn't WAG. It was just, if it meets your macros, one
Sure.
of those, and
Yeah.
came up with my own macros and actually was doing pretty well. But then around November, I thought, you know what? If I really want to see what my potential is, then I need to do nutrition. And so WAG was the very first place that I went. And I signed up with WAG in December of 2017. So at that point, I had been training for about 6 months. And then I had about 3 months of nutrition and quickly realized that what I had been doing was totally not what I should have been doing. I was
Yeah.
under eating a lot. Brittany was great to work with. She moved me up slowly, educated me. And I just absolutely fell in love with WAG because it was everything different than what I had been taught. Because even though I had the precision nutrition, it's hard to get rid of everything that you believed. And so WAG
Yeah.
really opened up my mind to a different way of doing things. And um, the interesting thing about that is that the week before the Open started, my dad died.
Mm.
And
Oh
the
man.
we buried him on Thursday, and my very first open workout was Friday. So I don't even
Wow.
remember doing that workout, honestly. I redid it on
Sure.
Monday. I still don't remember doing it, but I ended up doing really well. I qualified for the online qualifier, which I wasn't expecting.
Oh wow.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So when WAG certification came out, I think later that year, I immediately jumped on it because I knew that I wanted to learn everything about WAG, and really
Cool.
started, for my own, you know, people that I was working with. I started using more of the WAG methodology. Um, got an opportunity to come on as a sub coach and then a coach. That was a really long story, wasn't it?
It was great.
Yeah.
uh, what I really enjoy about it, and I want to say, I think from aside from the registered dietitians that we have on staff, the 3 that we have on staff, I want to say that you're the first coach to mention having obtained nutrition certification before having an interest in becoming a coach for WAG, because obviously that's part of what we do. We all go get our
Hmm.
precision
Yeah.
nutrition level 1. We go through the WAG certification and its methodology and then the continuing education that comes with that. But I find that fascinating that you went, not only got your PN level 1, but your level 2, and had already committed to that path prior to deciding that you even wanted to work for WAG or be a nutrition coach after you learned of our methodology and then wanted to go pursue that accreditation,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
think is
The
great.
precision,
Yeah.
yeah, the precision nutrition was great because it taught me the science. Initially, it taught me the science, and it did, teach a lot of behavioral. Um, but the WAG certification to me it was even better than the precision nutrition, honestly, because, in the WAG certification, you get actual case studies, you get actual clients, past clients that, you know, you get to come up with their macros and you get to do their check-ins and you get
Right.
feedback on that. And
Mm.
Yeah.
so yeah, it was priceless to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that one of the biggest things that set the certification apart, especially in the early days, was the the mentorship. Like you said, you had someone looking over your stuff and saying,
Yeah.
"Pam, this looks really good. Here's what I think would have maybe been better." Or
Yeah.
here you did this exactly right. I would have done the same thing. Um, I mean, if I'm speaking like totally honestly, I wish we still did that. We don't currently do that, but I hope that we do that again because I think that that is such a unique thing, and it sounds like that was a big part of it for you was getting the interaction, getting the or having the ability to email someone and say, "Hey, I don't know about this. Can you take a look?" And within 24 hours, you get a response. Like, you know, no one else is doing that. So it's cool to hear
Nope.
that. It's cool to hear that.
Yeah, it was a big deal because, there's a lot of Facebook groups in these certifications, and so if you have a question,
Hmm.
you can ask a question. The problem is
Of
that you get
course.
back, you know, you get back tons of suggestions and answers, and you still don't really know, where to go.
Yeah.
Whereas with
Right.
that certification, I could ask a question, and yes, here's the direction that I think you should go. So
Yeah.
yeah, it made a big difference.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's incredibly valuable feedback. And that makes me want to touch on something you mentioned in your story about how when you found WAG and you started working with Brittany, you had gone and like done your own macro calculations, had kind of like got the ball rolling on that process. And similar to what clients go through, obviously, and all of us being former clients or current clients of WAG, coaches need coaches too. Um, is this preconceived notion of what nutrition is, with the rights and wrongs, the do's, the don'ts, right, of all this stuff that we come into this program with. And a lot of coaching is almost like an offering of a deprogramming to just be like, maybe forget what you know and be open to what you don't know, or maybe what you haven't tried. And one of the questions that I have for you is, what is one of the biggest misconceptions that you had prior to working with Brittany, or what was like the veil being lifted on your perspective of nutrition that you found to be the most valuable thing in diverting you down a different path?
I I treated Brittany like I did my fitness coach. When I decided I was going to do this, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna walk in like I don't know anything. and I'm going to listen to them. I'm paying them and I'm going to listen to them. I did Brittany the same way. So she really did start my macros out pretty close, not that far from what I was doing. And I
Okay.
was eating 1,400 calories a day and thinking that was, wow, that was a lot. But I was also training a lot.
Right.
I
Yeah.
remember the first time that she moved my carbs, and she moved them quite a bit. And I had this instant fear because I did the quick calculation in my head. Oh my God, I've gone through this period of time where I've lost this weight. I'm going to gain all this weight back. This is
So
Sure.
250
she upped your
calories a day.
carbs then, you're
She upped
saying?
my carbs and upped my calories. Yeah, she upped yeah. But I didn't say
Yeah. So
anything. I didn't
scary.
question it. It was really scary. I didn't say anything. I
Yeah.
just said, I just kept telling myself, I'm paying for this. I'm going to trust them. I'm just going to do what she tells me to do. And I still to this day remember I was doing a workout. I don't know, it was maybe like a week or a couple weeks after that. I was doing a workout, and I'm not kidding, guys. I was killing it. I was freaking killing it.
Hell yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, oh my God, where is this coming from? I was so
That's
excited because
awesome.
one of the guys threw it down and said, well, you got to beat this many rounds. That's what I got. And I'm leading right now. Well, I kicked his butt. And I still remember thinking, oh, I still remember thinking, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing ever. And the interesting thing is that, I mean, in my heyday when I was doing a lot of training, I mean, I went from 1,400 calories a day to like almost 2,600 calories a day. I was, it was a
Yeah.
lot. I was eating a ton of
Yeah.
carbs. And so
Tremendous.
tremendous.
Yeah.
But it really did start with just that, you know what? I put my trust here. I'm paying for this service. I'm just going to do what I'm told to do. And honestly, after that workout, I'm like, hey, you can give me whatever you want to. I'm good and I'm golden.
Yeah. Sold. I'm on board.
Sold.
Yeah.
Well, and then I also got just a really big change in my body composition. I mean, I'm an older athlete. You know, postmenopausal, I never expected my body to look the way it looks. And so, it's just like, how can you argue with any of that?
Sure.
Yeah. hmm Granted, we've never met you in person, but seeing your photos on Instagram, I'm just like, Pam is jacked. Like, you are fit. Like, it's impressive. And like, that's what I look forward to. You know what I mean? In 10 years from now, 20 years from now, like that's the goal. That's what I aspire to maintain in my own life. So yeah, that's an inspiration to me. So I look up to you. I love that.
Well, and
Yeah.
the interesting thing is that, I weigh the same thing that I did before. But my body composition was totally different. It was a whole lot more fat than it is muscle.
Mm.
But
Did everyone hear
yeah,
that? Listen to that again. I
yeah,
weighed the
Repeat.
same, but I
I
felt
weigh the same.
and looked different.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I weigh the same as I did, before I lost all of my body fat.
That's amazing.
That's,
I
I
don't
mean,
know, I may be jumping the gun. It's actually my hope for all of especially my female athletes, is, to let go of that number on the scale and really lean into what you look like, how you're performing in the gym and outside the gym. What is your energy level? How are you sleeping? Lean into that stuff so much more than that number on the scale, because it really doesn't mean a whole lot in the big picture.
Mm.
I know
Yeah.
we're not,
that's
I know that
awesome.
that's not
I
how we're
mean,
taught, but
Yeah.
it's the one big
yeah. I
lesson
mean,
that
we
I've
have
had.
to, and as coaches, it's up to us to share that lesson with people.
hmm
We deal with it. I mean, I don't need to tell either one of you every day. I have that conversation with people every single day, and I know that y'all do too.
It's the
Um,
most talked about thing.
hmm
Yeah.
It is.
And
And,
so
for
when you
me right
hear,
now, go ahead.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
gonna say, when
Jonathan.
you hear a story like that, when you hear a story like that, it's like it's just reinforcing, And I have a client right now, a guy who he's been with me for 2 years, and I said he checked in yesterday morning. I said, go back and look at your photos, 2 years ago. He's the exact same weight, but man, does he look different. It's insane. And he was like,
hmm
wow. He's like, mine. It was like, that's nuts. And I'm like, yeah, dude, but he did the same thing that you did, Pam. And we worked together. We figured out the different phases and different things to do. And he's done an incredible job. And here we are 2 years later. He's still kicking ass. And he might weigh a pound less than what he did 2 years ago, but he
Yeah.
looks incredibly different. So yeah, you got it right. I love that. That's a really powerful thing to say. And I hope everyone heard that. Like Chris said, he said, "Did you hear that? Listen to it again. Remember that."
Well, the
So,
other thing, I mean, I've spent the past several months doing a muscle gain, and I'm ready to cut. Um,
mhm,
because I just feel better at a lighter weight, honestly. And it's
sure.
not that you don't have a number that, you think you might want to get to, but it's like I told Brittany, this is the number when I felt really good, but I don't know that that's the number today. I'll know when I get there.
Right.
Um, so, I just don't know, but I'll let you know when I get there because I'll be able to tell in the way I feel and, you know, once again, energy and performance and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic what you just said. I'll know when I get there.
Hmm.
Like if that's like when you the perspective of like having a goal or setting a goal, like it might just be a matter of being curious and seeing what your potential is, and not necessarily having like a number or a this or that or some measurable thing, but just like you may not be able to measure it until you actually get there. And then you're like, oh, this right here,
Hmm.
this is where I feel like in my prime. And it's at least right now because a year from now it could be different. And I think that's so crucial.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a note of that. We lost your audio there, Josh. I think you fiddled your mic.
Hey, I was on mute.
Yeah, you were.
Sorry about that.
You good?
Another rookie mistake over here. Unbelievable. This is my first podcast, gang, just so you know. So
Definitely my
yeah, you
first one.
touched. Yeah, it is, and you're doing great. Don't worry. We don't got to worry about you. Got to worry about me over here. Unbelievable. Yeah, you touched on a lot of good points and like heavy topics. Because we always like to ask our guests that are coaches, some of your tried and true tips and things that you have helped your clients overcome on a continual basis. And I mean, you listed off a few of those, which were fantastic. My question or follow-up question to you now would be, what's one of your proudest moments as a coach, or maybe accomplishments as a coach? Is anything like come to mind? Maybe a few. Who knows?
I mean, in general, my proudest accomplishments are when I can get someone to get off the scale, off of a
Mm,
number, and really lean in to, um, other aspects of their life that mean so much more. Because,
gotcha.
as I said earlier, the number on the scale just doesn't mean that much. So, yeah, I mean, I love working with clients. I, I think one thing that we don't give enough credit to is that we all come into adulthood with a bunch of baggage as kids. So whether that's, you watched a family member, mom or dad, with some type of eating disorder or negatively talking about their body weight all the time or being ridiculed if you were overweight or any number of things. I mean, but
Right.
we do carry that into adulthood. And I think a lot of people don't actually think of those things when they're looking at changing their nutrition and their behavior. And so some of my proudest moments is when I've actually been able to dig a little bit deeper with clients and figure out where some of those thought thoughts are coming from that actually ends up being reactions, which could
Mm,
lead to overeating or, feeling guilty because they had an Oreo or, whatever that is. But really, I guess peeling back the onion to figure out, what triggers they have and where they come from, because then they get those aha moments that are like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. and my
Right.
life is different now. My life is different now. I get to make the choices. I'm in control. Um, so, I mean, I worked with one lady who, didn't, I mean, they were poor growing up and they didn't have food. And so, she just has a tendency to, overeat, anytime, whether she's hungry or not. She just, because she's, there's this scarcity of not having enough food.
Yeah.
So being able to, really dig deep into, address those issues and, that, you're safe and you're secure now and you have a job and, food is not a scarcity and, so it's, and then to get back those comments that, oh my God, you're right. And you can just breathe and calm down and look at it a totally different way. So those are definitely my, you know, proudest moments when I can
Sure. It's awesome.
um, get clients to really look at those types of things.
I love that. Yeah. The control aspect, right? Being able to like put your hand on the
Yeah,
steering wheel and divert this where you want it to go. Like that's always the choice that we
yeah,
have. No matter the individual limitations that we face, there are opportunities where you can do something, you know, and empowering people to realize what those are and working within those limitations is how we break free of those cycles, and it
yeah.
shifts perspective. So yeah, people are lucky to have you as their coach for sure with that wisdom. um, One thing we also like to find out about our fellow coaches here, Pam, is obviously we know a bit about you just in conversations, and this conversation we're finding out even more about you. But what's something that most people may not know about you? What's something you maybe keep close to the belt?
Close to, I don't.
Yeah.
I knew that question was coming up, and I really don't. I was even talking to my husband about that. We were kind of laughing because I don't really know. I don't really have anything.
Hmm.
Other than maybe something funny. I'm very directionally challenged. Like I can go in a bathroom and not figure out where I was. Do I turn left? Do I turn right? I get I get lost
Directionally
very easy.
challenged.
I am very directionally challenged. I'll go on
Maybe
trips
your
with
inner GPS.
yeah, I go on trips with my friends. My sister, and they'll just like go in a corner somewhere and watch. Yeah, let's just make fun of her when she comes out. So yeah,
Oh my God.
I don't really know. Um, I mean, if you looked at anything on WAG, that I wasn't an athlete growing up. The fact that I am such a gym rat now is surprising to me. I fell in love with the gym at 48 years old. I
Oh
never played a
wow.
sport.
It's
Yeah, I never
incredible.
played a sport. Um, I just didn't do any of those things. So the fact that I mean, my goal when I was growing up was to hit ninth grade because after ninth grade, you didn't have to take PE anymore. I mean, it was like the worst hour of my day
I
was
remember that.
PE. Yeah. So, the fact that I owned a CrossFit box was part owner of a CrossFit box at one point. The fact that I spent 3 hours in the gym every day training and absolutely loving it. I've done pretty well in open qualifiers since I've, focused on that. So, it's just proof that you don't really know what you don't know, and just get out there and try some stuff. I don't. One of my suggestions is I don't really care if it's CrossFit, if it's Zumba, whatever. Find some activity that you love to do because then you'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Like, yeah, I love that, and that's something that we talk about or I guess, like, I'm sure again you'll talk about it too. But when you're trying to get people to do like some extra activity, or cardio, quote unquote cardio exercises, you got to find something that you enjoy doing. You can't
Yeah.
just loathe, this hour of your day. Like, you have to find something that's going to get you moving and get you outside and keep you, like, excited to keep coming back. So trying new stuff gets so tough as we get older. We just
Yeah.
get more and more set in our ways, and we get more and more uh just we're just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Adverse,
Complacent.
complacent. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We just don't want to branch out, and so it's really inspiring to hear that at the age of 48 you were like, yeah, like, I'm really into this. like, let's go.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, and it's been a life-changing thing. So that's really cool. That's really special.
It's definitely been life changing, even like leaving corporate America. I spent most of my life in corporate America. I gave them my life. I canceled vacations. I worked 60, 70 hours. And, sometimes I think
Dang.
back and think, man, I could have done so much more and enjoyed so much more of my life. But, the whole, CrossFit gave me that's the other thing. It gave me the confidence to move on and do something else that I really wanted to do. Um, and so it's all been good.
That's great. Love it. I mean, I think that's a great way to end the podcast, if I'm being honest. Like, you've shared like so many gems. Yeah. I mean, for real, you've shared so many excellent pieces of advice, and just like your own personal story is really, really inspiring. And that's what these are all about. We want to talk to inspiring people, and it just so happens that we work at a company that is full of them, and you're no exception. So thank you so much for coming on today. It means a lot.
You're welcome. It's a little easier than what I thought it was going to be.
I was going to say, right? Not as bad as you thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't as bad as a root canal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Pam was so nervous. She said, "I'd rather get a root canal than do this." And we're like, "Oh, I don't hope you change your mind. We're not that weird or mean or
right."
But
And now
gang,
hopefully it's become the easiest thing you've done today, though. Sorry.
It has been. It has been. I've
cool.
been baking a little bit with my niece. She's into that, so but it's been pretty cool.
Cool. Well, gang, if you want to get your nutrition in check and sign up for one-on-one coaching with any of us, with Pam, Chris, myself, or anybody else that works for WAG, we have a staff full of awesome coaches and wonderful people. Please go to workingagainstgravity.com /join. And Chris, what can they do with the code?
If you check out and join and select one of our programs, either our Essentials program or our NCP, our Nutrition Coaching Plus program, that includes one video chat per month with your coach, and then weekly check-ins, plus a meal plan. You can pop in the code Inside WAG to get $50 off your first month of either of those memberships. So once again, Inside WAG at workingagainstgravity.com /join.
Thank y'all so much for listening. We'll see you next time.